Hi there. In this set of videos I will be assembling an IKEA kitchen. Bottom cabinets, installing everything in them, top cabinets, all of that, sink in this area. It's gonna be fun. And a separate video obviously for the oven, the sink, the dishwasher, the air extractor. All of those will have separate videos. This main video is for the furniture itself, which contains all of that, and the drawers and whatnot. And in another video, all of them will be linked in the description of this one. I will have a video that shows how you actually design this particular kitchen. Obviously you can design it in any shape that you want, but I will show you how I designed this one. So let's open the first box. In theory it's the corner cabinet, in theory. Let's hope for it and let's see what we get. Okay, just want you to know from the start, it's physically impossible for me to film assembling everything, each step, because it would take me months to finish this kitchen. What you do, obviously unbox, take a really good look at what tools you require. In theory, there should be 2 of you for this job, and never work directly onto this because you can scratch it. I usually do the work on the cardboard box itself. If you have any questions, call IKEA. Here's a list of all the parts, and this is how the finished product should look. This is in my case the one. Then you try to figure out every single one of these things, what it is and what it does. For me, for example, that's the left side, right side. That thing right there is actually this part right here, and I think this is the bottom itself. And yeah, then you simply follow all of these steps, making sure you use the proper brackets and screws from these bags. I will just show you bigger steps. So for example, when I finish 2 of these pages, I'm unable to show you each and every single step. I have videos where I show you each and every single step, but they ended up being way too long and it took me way too much time to finish doing this. So yeah, that's that. We will skip through some things and I will show you what seems to me important. So let's get to it. Okay, put in all the stands and these brackets with that type of chubby screws. You use 6 of them and 4 of them remain for other jobs. These brackets work in conjunction with these things, which actually tighten everything together through the piece that you will actually put here at 90 degrees. It has some holes and this latches onto those parts. First thing that I can say I'm not a fan of, you can see how this paint is cracking around this, but it's not in an area where you will see it. But as an idea, if you will ever hit this with something and bend it, the paint will crack. So just wanted to let you know. So let me continue with these steps around here. At this step we put 3 wooden dowels which are already in here between these 2, and now I'm putting these things which will latch onto those. To put them, as you can see, they have an opening, so it goes like this with the arrow pointing outwards. Kind of push it in here like that, and then you rotate it clockwise 90 degrees or a bit more than 90, that's the max. And now the arrow is pointing inwards, showing you that this is tightened, and do that for all corners. Actually, one more I need to put. Sorry, this was it. This is what I was showing. Then I will rotate this thing and put this big board in here with this type of screws. Putting this thing in place with 3 of these, screws. Make sure the holes on its edge, the 4 holes remain on the top side, and in here these metal plates, and make sure the chamfer is on the outside so this can go and stay flush with it. And in here we are using from the second bag of screws this type of screws, but we only have 3 holes pre-drilled, so this and this we need to drill them ourselves with a 3mm bit. Okay, put the back of this thing in place. As you can see, it was bended from the middle, and it's basically it has something like a scotch tape on the back of it. That's just for packaging reasons. A wood dowel in the other side, and one of these things down there, and yeah, put these wood dowels in here also. And now we come with this end plate. Next we put this thing in place, which is basically this right there in the middle, and now this rail will go something like this from here to here. So let's get to it. Next we put this thing on its front, so the back of it that will go against the wall is visible, and with these little nails we need to put 3 of them initially, but make sure this is at 90 degrees. What we did is actually measured from that corner to this corner and that corner to this corner, and the distances are equal, so this is a rectangle. If you have something to put at 90 degrees in one corner, you can also do that. Depends on what you have at hand. So now I'm going to put this. You can see you have a marking where you need to actually insert these things with a small hammer. So let's get to it. Only 3 of them initially, because after you've put these 3, you need to put some of these things and then put the rest of the nails. Okay, put all the nails in place. Yes, they are not quite evenly spaced. Here I put 2 of them because we have a split in the middle, so each one of them is holding one of these 2 pieces. Put on the bottom the spacers from the wall, 2 of them here and 2 of them on that side, which will actually be close to the wall. This corner goes in there. And yeah, at this point I'm going to go search in other packages for the fit for this thing. Next we are installing some METOD supports. My father is assembling them because they come disassembled in that box right there, and they are explaining to you what you need to do to get them somehow together right here, as you can see. And this is the way you actually attach them to the cabinets. As you can see, you only put on the edges 2 of them. On the back you don't actually have any supports like this. And make sure when you put it on the edge, as you can see, this can be rotated, so it goes in like this. And this thing right in the middle, if I could get it out, come on, can go like this or like this. If you are using a foot like this in here somewhere, you want this in the middle of the plastic. If you are using it on the edge, you want this closer to the edge, so it supports this a bit better. As you can see, it has a plastic here to also keep this. So like this it will be installed on the edge. Let's get them on. Just wanted to show you a bit of lack of quality control. This came like this from the factory, so this is not my doing. But yeah. Anyway, doesn't really matter. I will put some white paint, but it's annoying because you buy a new thing and it comes like this from the factory. Next I'm assembling this thing, which goes right behind this, and I'm using those 3 screws right there, which are quite stubby. Okay, just put this thing as an idea in its place without the feet. We will just put those when you have almost everything ready. Put all the screws and all that I need for that particular thing that will come here to connect to the next thing. Some screws in there for the top of this screws in there for this thing, and those black thingies will not be used because I will have a rail on the wall, so those are for a different type of fixture. And these spacers will be going right here in these small holes at the top to get the same level as this metal as this metal. That's basically their only purpose. So let me put them, 4 small screws and 2 long screws. Nope, I installed this thing wrong, so future me is correcting them, taking the screws out, and the screws go in this hole like I already did on this side. So be careful of this. If you have rails on your wall, maybe if you have the other system that you directly drill into the wall, maybe they go in the other place, I do not know, but for rails on the wall, like this it needs to be. So that thing is almost finished. Now we are doing this one, which is for the electrical oven, how you pronounce it. And as some of you might notice, the electrical socket is not perfectly behind it. I know, I didn't design this house, so anyway, I will somehow make a hole in that one to be able to plug it in, and the wires will come through the back into this one for the oven. Then, such is life. So let me get to it. My father put these wooden dowels already in. We need to put those and start assembling. This is much easier than that one. I think that's the most complicated from this whole furniture. Okay, so the lower part is in place. This is in place. These are ahead of schedule, so in theory you shouldn't put this already in. We did it anyway. Obviously it was much harder to put this, so follow those. Don't try to go ahead and do what you think you should, because it's not correct. So next, that thingy goes at the top, and I will see exactly how. Probably something like this, I'm guessing. We'll see. Okay, put this in place in the middle of the hole. It seems it was right for this to be straight. In here they actually show you to push it until this reaches the edge of the hole, and then you put these things right here, you glue them from this, which is a bit weird, but hey, they tell you to do that, so whatever. Actually no, be careful. It needs to be pushed until it's at the end of the hole, like I did when you have an oven or this electric stove. I don't know if I say it right or not. So for those it needs to be like this, so I did it correctly. But if you have a sink or simple drawers, it needs to be at the other end. So you need to push it from the other side. So this finger is showing you wrong how to push it actually. Anyway, so I did it right. Very important thing, do not try to wing it. If you wing it and you are not paying attention, you will end up like us. For example, we put all the nails, I couldn't remember the term, so I needed to cut there. Put all the nails on the edge, and then next step, put these spacers for the wall in, and we didn't have any nails. Luckily I have some which are a bit shorter, but will still do the job. So don't wing it, follow those instructions. Okay, in theory this you should put last, but we are going to put it now before hanging this thing onto the wall, which is this, but we almost couldn't find it because we thought this is just a cardboard spacer. Well, it's not. In the end, decided not to put that in place because it could bother me with the wires for the oven. Jesus, I cannot pronounce that. Anyway, so I put everything that's remaining in there. And next, let's do this one right here. Okay, this is going really easily. It's almost identical to the other one, and it has all the same type of connections, so nothing that I needed to show you up until here. But there's a weirdness, this isn't open. So you cannot basically slide this thing all the way. You need to bend it a little bit and then push it in one side, and then while it's bent, push it in the other. And yes, obviously unbend it so it goes down. And I think for the other one it was the same, but we we did it in a bit of a different order, putting those things from the start, so we didn't reach this issue because we had bigger issues to solve. So yeah, let's continue. Now these things seem to have some plastics. This rail that will end up something like this in here, it has these plastics that will actually hold something like that, this thing in place. But it needs to go into the rail, so let me do that now. To clip on these two plastics in, you simply put that side in and push on this edge. I said push on this edge, the other one went in easier, and it's clipped. And now you simply slide it onto this thing in both parts, align this thing with your hose, and as you can see, it's attached. And yeah, that's about it. Okay, and this one is also finished. Yeah, it starts to go faster and faster as you work on them, because basically they have the same principle, and again, that was the most complicated. Made a bit more progress. I didn't show that one because it's identical to this one 100%, which is quite similar to that one, just a bit of difference at the top, and the bottom doesn't have that cut. Anyway, there's that. This one is also almost identical to this one. The only difference, this has the rail to the maximum backwards, and it has this plasticky silicone thingies glued here in the middle, which is for the oven. And this one is to the max to the front and doesn't have those. That's about the only difference between them. And yeah, obviously I need to cut in this one for the pipes for the water, put the sink on top. Yeah, and here we will have the dishwasher, which kind of creates its own space, so it doesn't really have a cabinet like this. Yeah, anyway, that's about that. Up until now, honestly, once you get the hang of it, it actually works a bit faster and a bit better than I was expecting it. And just wanted to point out something, not all of them have the same quality of the wood panels. So some of them seem to be quite soft, and I think this and one of these were stronger. So yeah, I don't know, that's a bit weird, but anyway, it's not the best quality, but it's not the worst quality. It's somewhere good enough. And a fly, I need to put those kind of protections on the windows and the door, because flies seem to be getting in here, and that sucks. Okay, next, starting to assemble the top cabinets. First one, biggest one, is one in the corner, but half of it will be hidden, because IKEA, at least for METOD, doesn't properly have one of those, but for the top part. They just have something with a 45 degrees front, but that would be, it just didn't fit. And from reading on forums, many people have the problem that IKEA doesn't have this thing for the top. So I bought this, which is 80 centimeters wide, and I'm covering half of it. Those are the sides. We are putting the dowels. The assembly, honestly, is almost identical to those ones. So let's get to it. Assemble the part of this thing. The other side is there. But then when I wanted to assemble this thing to it, one of them is there. It seems I got a bent part, failed part. So I need to go to the vise and straighten it, which is not fun at all. Okay, so managed to straighten this thing almost as it should be, but decided that this being the biggest of the top cabinets, it's not a good idea to have this one that I repaired. So I'm going to use one that I stole from the smallest cabinet, which is just 30 centimeters wide. I will put this in here, and the one that we straightened on that one, because that's less than half of this one. So yeah, and it's assembled, and yeah, we will put them somewhere else in another room until all of this is fixed in place. Or maybe actually we fix this first. I don't know, we assemble everything now just to make sure we have every single part, and when all is assembled we will start fixing onto the wall. I know it's not the proper order of installation, but yeah. The really small one is also finished, and I will take it away and get to the next one. Another one finished, and in theory I have two more of this same size, so I'm not going to show those until we start putting things on the wall. Not sure if I showed you, also the top ones have spacers on the lower edge to make sure there's the same distance between it and the wall as it will be where the rail is. So yeah, and the rest, nails all over again, same thing as the bottom ones. You just have a top, which is that. Forgot that I actually have one that is shorter for the air extractor over the cooking area, and this one is a bit weird. It's exactly as the other ones, but it seems to be from a different batch or production series. Look at these parts, for example, they are white as opposed to the ones from all the other ones that were black and were looking like this. And other small stuff like this is a tiny bit different. The spacers for the wall are a bit different compared to all the other ones, but yeah, overall it's exactly the same thing, but a bit different. And I just want to tell you something else. If you have defects like this, this is kind of chipped in a few areas. Make sure you put this on the top side where it will not be seen, and keep the one that is in good shape overall on the bottom side. And yes, I do not like the fact that this will be visible from underneath. I will buy some separate covers, white covers for them. It's a bit annoying. I think IKEA sells something that extends from the bottom of these things that actually hides even the lighting. If you put some lighting under these things, I didn't buy those, so this will be visible if you look from the underside, so I will buy covers. That's about it. Okay, next big job, installing the rails. In there, as you can see, I have a laser, which will be linked in the description of this video if you want to get it. And let's see this. I simulated one of these, plus what the feet will be, plus what the top part of it will be. The working area, and after that I put about 50 centimeters to the bottom of the top cabinets. So 50 centimeters between top and bottom, because my wife is quite short and we wanted to have them as low as possible but still look good. And yeah, from that, this is honestly, when installed, is almost at the top level. So yeah, I actually took the top of the cabinets when I did the simulation and marked it with this laser, and I'm going to put the rails with the top part right there. But let me see in here if I have any other interesting instruction that I should take care of. This is what I'm using to attach the rail on the wall together with this. And yes, possibly it's a bit overkill, because this thing does not fit. So the adjustment that these things have built in, not working with this, because they are too thick for this channel in here. But I think I'm going to just simply use them as washers, probably in this. Oh, actually no, the hole is too big to be washers, so I need to put some other washers and simply not use these things. It's a bit overkill what we're using here, but Better safe than sorry, because we are dealing with cannot remember, I'm a bit tired. It's not concrete, it's the red stuff. Anyway, bricks, the brick wall. You can see there, already put in that hole one of these things, and now I need to put in all of those holes the rest of them, so that's going to be fun. Okay, this one is perfectly on the wall, as you can see, and now this one, cut it with an angle grinder here at the end. We'll put the plastic covers on it, obviously, and put it in here, mark the holes, drill holes, and fix it in place. Okay, next thing that I need to do is drill the hole for this rectangular tubing for the air extractor. I went with this rectangular tubing because it's quite slim and it will not be seen on top of the top cabinets. So yeah, put one of the cabinets just to give me the height, and for this I'm taking into consideration the position of the hole in the air extractor itself, because I will have some connection elements that go into this thing. But yeah, probably this is about enough. I will check exactly and make sure I have the dimension correct before drilling the hole in the wall. Okay, in my particular situation, I think I'm going to actually remove the spacers, because as you can see, I already have a spacer made from this thing by the guy that built the house, which is basically exactly the same width as the rail itself. So if I remove those spacers, this will be perfectly straight. Now it's up like this, so no bueno. The hole for the vent in there, that is finished, that one in there. Here we might need to add, and probably we will add another piece, because this is 2 meters long and we need a bit more. Even though we left a bit there, where that one will just attach in there, that part of the furniture, but still not long enough. So yeah, and we added some more screws of this type, which it seems are quite specialized for the type of walls that I have in this house, and they are really expensive, but better safe than sorry. Forgot to tell you that on your rails you will have both black and gray plastics at the end. I used a gray one at this end, and yes, you can see it, because you cannot make it any shorter or any longer. You can see the plastic right there. If you make the rail shorter, this thing hits the plastic. So yep, and I preferred a gray one instead of a black one in there. Opening the doors for that thingy right there, they are 40 by 80, and do not use a cutter, because you will actually scratch the doors themselves. Just cut a bit at the end and then start to split it, and it will split apart. We were searching high and low for the hinges and could not find them anywhere. We opened up every single box, opened up the sink. We could see it had what it needs, but then it did only, a sink shouldn't be this heavy. So we lifted it out of the box, and voila, the stash is right here. So if you cannot find an element and you bought this thing home delivered, they make some bigger packages like this, where they include something that probably comes with only this. So this is the whole sink when you buy it yourself. They put it in a bigger box and they put everything inside of it. Starting to attach the cabinets, a separate video will be linked in the description for the corner cabinet creation. As you can see, I heavily modified it because IKEA doesn't provide a proper corner for the top cabinets. And now I will install the hinges and door in this little guy. Okay, for the hinges we will be using bottom holes and top holes. This is what needs to go on the frame itself. You simply push it in place I'm not going to be able to really push it with my left hand because I cut my finger a little bit. Needs to be pushed to the maximum, and you tighten these two screws at the ends. Okay, now the hinges on the door itself, you simply, yeah, this one is already in partly. You can see you need to push it in the holes in the door. Did I put some of my blood on this door? You simply put the black thingies in there. Make sure you do not push on this because that's the latch that will close it in place. Normally you push it with your fingers, but some of them are a bit stubborn, at least in the last part of it. I discovered that with a flathead right in this area, just slightly tap it. It goes in, then you do it on the other side. It goes in there, come back to this one. And when it's fully in place, you should be closing it. But it's not fully in place yet because I'm trying to film at the same time, so that's funny. Yeah, be back in a second. Okay, it's fully in place, and now it needs to be locked. Yep. And it's locked in place, and these things are really strong. So we will do the same on the other one. Now, to put the door in place, right here in the middle of the image, you can see a pin. This pin will go right here in the middle of the image where we see these two channels. So we push the pin in the channel, and then we simply push on the edge, on the end actually, of this thing, but I will show you in a moment. Top one is pushed in place, bottom one is only in the pin for the moment, and I'm going to try and push it in place, but I think it's going to move this whole thing, so let me see how I can block it and push it, and it's clicked in place, and they are locked now. From there in the middle you adjust vertically. From this one I think you adjust like this, and from this one you adjust the door like this, and now you must glue these things in the corner. Let's give it a test. Soft close. Okay, from there. That's perfect. And yes, I just want to add, these are not really the steps that you will see in the manual, because as you can see with this modification, I'm doing a bit of a modified install. So I don't have these things yet locked on the rails, so they are just hanging. They are not locked with the plastic pieces, and they are not screwed together yet. So I'm threading carefully here. But yes, everything is working and starting to look good. Forgot to tell you, this is the hinge model that we are using with 120 degrees maximum opening. After all of this were in correct position, we extended this with about 16 centimeters. Simply measured, we know that this is 60, so this needed to be 59, so it's about 1 centimeter shorter than this, and that's about it. Okay, top part is mostly finished. Now we will start with the bottom part. Okay, trying to set the level for the rails in the lower part. As you can see, I need to mount them upside down. Hopefully they will still do the job, because this is in front of them. This would also be in front of them. Set this to 8 centimeters, basically until they are touching a pin right there. Can you see it? Just a bit of the pin. Yeah, I know, the image is upside down. Anyway, and this should be the level. And we still have 8 centimeters for the front plastic protection. Hopefully all is good. Rail in place, starting to put in the cabinets, and we will see how much rail we still need here when we have everything aligned up until the last one. Okay, started to put the bottom cabinets, and I'm aligning them using the laser. A video with it in the description if you need it. And yeah, now I will continue. Made some progress. Most of this thing is in place, as you can see. This is a bit unusual. Normally this should be included somewhere in between other of these bodies, but for me this is where it needed to be because the sink had to be there. Anyway, it's complicated. So my socket, my power socket is here anyway. Also drilled some holes for these sockets which will go to the oven. This is a bit unusual, but anyway. Drilled a hole for these water connections. Yes, kind of ugly, but it's in here, nobody will ever see it. And yes, some other things need to be done, but for the moment it's looking good.